we're ready. It's time. We can hear the WoW music. Maybe in your head. Maybe. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to Meet the Devs episode 20. Today we got Chris joining me once again. And we're going to be talking about an upcoming patch coming very, very soon. Featuring the Wizard's second weapon, the Frost Orb, and a bunch of other changes. Chris is gonna get to everything, and as always, we'll also get some gameplay footage live. Me and Chris are gonna do a little bit to show the new weapons, and yeah, as always, we'll have some Q&A at the end. So whatever questions you guys have, we're doing this live on Discord. If you're watching it on YouTube, come join us on Discord sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, but all the time almost. And yeah, raise your hand and you can ask Chris and I whatever questions you may have. So yeah. All right, Chris, what do you got for us today?
It's a lot of fun, so I'm excited to share this one off. Something we learned about when we demoed the Wizard, I think, is just like the faster we just get into the game to show it, the better. It's easier to show, don't tell. So we'll just blaze through. The slides are pretty quick, and we'll go through that first. So what we could probably do is just talk about the Frost Orb, go into the game, and then come back and talk about other details in the patch after that. All right. So, okay. Can you still see my screen, or?
I can, yes. Frost Orb.
Okay. Yeah, so the vision of the Frost Orb and the difference between it and the Fire Staff is the Fire Staff is a little more forgiving, and like when you shoot the the fireball, and it kind of AoEs, it does like AoE damage. And it has block, and it also has like a flamethrower, and it has all these like different. For me, I think the Fire Staff I always imagined for the game, it's something really great in PvE and good in groups. But in solo, it's a little tricky, which we've heard some feedback of, just like it's harder to aim and harder to hit with it. The great thing about the Fire Staff as well is that you can hold the button down and have like a variable amount of damage that it can do. So the Frost Orb is different. Frost Orb has a tap, like a tap Ice Lance, kind of like fast frost icicle damage, and then has a press and hold that does a larger amount of damage, but it doesn't have the variable thing like the Fire Staff. It's really good for solo, I feel like, especially. It's good for control, it's good for CC, it's good for burst damage. So if you played the Frost Mage and WoW, there's some inspiration there with shatter combos and these sort of things. So, which was a really fun experience or gameplay experience in that game, and it's also been shared in other games too, like even in like May or whatever. And Overwatch had some of these elements. So, anyway, that's what it's inspired by. But we've also juiced it up with some other special mechanics as well that we'll go over. We've also redesigned the Frost Affliction so that it now, when you proc Frost Affliction, which you will generate the affliction damage or build up through dealing frost through the weapon, it will trigger a root on the target and some instant damage. And there is a perk that if you what does the perk say exactly? I think it's if you do.
Yeah, if you do a charge shot on any rooted target, it's a guaranteed crit. And
yeah,
if you play Wizard, charge shot also generates ley lines when it crits, so it becomes kind of like a catalyst for your whole kit. Also enables frost and fire mages together to you give a fire mage a guaranteed ley line almost whenever you can land a root. It's pretty strong because any wizard can use any other wizard's ley line, so it becomes like this. Yeah, it's gonna be something. We can show it in game if you want.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, and then there's 3 different Frost Orbs here that you can get. Of course, they're in all different qualities, not just blue and epic, but and we'll show these off of just some gameplay that each of them has, and so. These are things that Andrei built and designed as well. So, it's very close to Andrei. All right, so we can just go into game, I think, and just kind of show it off. So I can just kind of stop sharing here.
I'm queued up.
What do you think?
I think
you're
that's
queued
a
up.
good
All right.
idea. And I'm queued up. Let me share my screen, and with this, we how do you share screen in this game? Oh, you just press the share screen button. With this, we also get to show off the brand new wizard armor. This is a new set. In season 1, we had the shoulders, we had the chrome dome, I call it, but we didn't have the rest of the set. The rest of the set is now in. There it is, and it's fresh.
There it is.
It's nice and fresh.
Yeah. No, it looks really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the epic version. Well, this is like.
Is that the epic version? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is the highlight.
Yeah.
This is a nice and juicy one. And I have all the orbs. I'll show you all the orbs. Oh wait, Twitch can't see it. My bad. There you go. There it is. There it is. There it is. You guys can see it now. You can admire it. I would give you a 360, but I can't while I'm in queue. But yeah, the Frost Orb has a lot of very obvious strengths, and then it also has kind of some hidden attacks and hidden abilities and hidden perks, which we'll show a lot today, I think.
Yeah, the queue should pop. I was just in the social hub, so it's popping a second or so.
Yeah, I was in it earlier as well, just to kind of see how long it takes. It took 2 minutes, so we got 30 seconds left. Someone's saying it has no weakness. No, it has some. So the difference between, I mean, there's a lot of differences, but where the fire staff, like Chris was saying, is a lot of, it's kind of like hard to control, I guess, because it was a bit harder to land the hits in the 1v1 especially. But it had like big explosions, big AoE. This one doesn't have as much AoE. Most of its damage, with some exception, almost all of its like real damage is single target. But it's is it higher? I don't want to like say too much before I show it. You'll see. It cannot block. So there's that. But I think I don't think it needs block. Okay, so I'm wearing blues. Chris is wearing.
I have junk gear.
Interesting transmog. So don't look at the numbers necessarily. Okay, so what do we show first? I'll show you the Frost Orb. There it is. Boom. There's the Frost Orb. It's a magical plastic ball. And so we have the charged attack, which is, you know, your classic charged attack, and we have the taps, which are an instant straight fire, unlike the fire staff, which, you know, you kind of had to like aim and like lob it. This one's pretty straightforward. You just point and click. A bunch of stuff with. Do you want me to talk about it, Chris, or do you want to talk about it?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Alright, one thing is the left clicks of this you can headshot with these. So if you have good aim, you can headshot. Lots of damage, but the projectiles are a lot smaller. Again, don't look at the numbers necessarily. I'm wearing all blue gear. I'm gonna like two-shot Chris if we start fighting a little bit. But yeah, the left clicks, they can headshot. You don't get ley lines from these because, you know, it has to be a charge shot crit to get a ley line. There's so much. Where do I even start? Alright, right click is a big AoE. It's like a big blizzard. It slows people, it builds frost, and it just does a bunch of damage. Now, while you're doing this, you know, we have overload, which lets you teleport. You can actually teleport while channeling this as well. And there's a, you know what? I'll just show you all the skills first. So there's a right click. It has a technical attack, which is a root. And as I said before, there's a trait. You know, I can root this guy, and if I'm fast enough, okay, I wasn't. The root window for this one is pretty tight, so you gotta root and immediately get a charge shot, because otherwise you'd be like too broken. But yeah, basically you can root targets, and then you can shatter them. Okay, I'm just way too slow. There you go. And you get guaranteed ley lines. You gotta do it pretty fast. Or you can use one of your scrolls. We have the frozen cyclone, which roots targets. So now, again, you gotta be pretty fast with this one, but I'm really bad. Yeah, you can, and you can also there's a lot of combos actually with this one. Off of the charge attack, you can do an instant left click as well. So you do like a little shatter combo. So if someone is rooted, like this is a real shatter combo. I can charge shot, boom, boom. Everything crits. You get a ley line, and you just blow people up. It's a lot of damage. Evade attack. No, not evade attack. Yeah, evade attack. I think people will like this one. This is a nice little skateboard technique where you start sliding and you slide, you leave this trail behind you. This trail slows people, and it also gives you a haste buff, so your next charge shot is faster. So you can see how this is getting, like, it kind of all starts feeding into each other, because you can root people. With the haste buff, you can, cast faster, then you can get headshots. You just have ley lines, now you cast even faster, and you just, like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's some, like, cracked combos you can do with the rest of the kit, which I think if you played Wizard, you can probably, kind of see them, kind of imagine what it is. It's stuff like this. Drop meteors on them. There's some crazy combos you can do. And then there's also the perks on the weapon, which we could talk about a little bit. This one increases the distance covered by your slide. So this is actually a little longer than it should be, because if I don't have that, it's a tiny bit smaller. This frozen star makes your headshots apply more frostbite. So this one's probably the best if you have good aim. If you have good aim, this is actually the best. And then there's the Eye of Winter, which reads, if you channel your blizzard for 4 seconds or more, you create like a big patch of slow. But I'll show you a cool combo with it. You can actually like blink while teleporting and pick where you want to put this. I want to put it right here. And there it is.
I didn't even know about that. Yeah, that's good.
Yes. So you can like go in, put it in. It's like a big area of slow. And yeah, it's gonna be, it's kind of like a good synergy with the hunter traps. It's warriors in shambles, all I'm gonna say. And then there's the Q as well. Q, which is the weapon special, turns your body into ice. This is temp VFX, okay? Temp VFX. Temp turns your body into ice, makes you unstoppable, and increases your armor for a very short duration. But it's just long enough so you can actually get like any cast off. And when it comes off cooldown, I'll show you can actually activate this reactively when you're about to get staggered, because you can activate it while you're channeling something, like while you're casting. So I'm casting, and then I want Froststorm now, so you can use it reactively. Someone like attacking you, you can pre-queue to like not get staggered and still shoot your ability. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's very high damage. You gotta land those headshots. Some crazy combos. Roots very strong. Good synergy with the hunter trap, with the roots, and rip melee.
Yeah, one combo I like is that you can blink in, you can Nova, you can evade out, and then charge up something. So it's like, yeah, it's like you blink in, then you Nova, and then you can blink out and evade, and then charge up something. So yeah, I don't know. It's fun. You could just go into melee and go out of melee, and it's good just for PvE too. I do think the fire staff is more damage in PvE and more AoE, of course, but you do get a little bit more control with this one. But it's a little bit higher skill because you don't get the block and you do have to aim.
Yep.
Aiming's a little more tricky. But yeah.
But if you can aim, and hey, if they're rooted, it's easier to aim. You just root them, don't let them play the game, and easy clap. People are asking about. There's been a lot of wizard changes. We'll have patch notes, I believe, tomorrow. But there's been changes to the fire orb as well, fire staff, sorry, including making the projectile a little bit faster. I know that was a request. Big request. It's about 20% faster. I don't have a fire staff to show you, but trust. Yeah, and there's more. Again, full patch notes, I think tomorrow, but there's a lot of changes for Wizard. Can the 4-second frost charge thing be staggered out? This one? Or which one? This one? I'm not sure which one. But you technically anything that's charged you can stagger out, but again, even during Blizzard you can press Q and you're like unstaggerable for 4 seconds, so you get the guaranteed patch of frost if that's what you meant. Yeah, that's the wizard. It's very
Yeah, it's
good.
one of the coolest weapons we've designed, I think. It's the kit is really fluid and fun. So,
Yeah.
as with every weapon and every design that we
Sorry.
do, this is going to be the first um, iteration, and we look forward to hear everyone's feedback and uh, and yeah, the goal is just for every weapon to have a distinct strength and weakness and gameplay experience and feel very different and like a cool fantasy for the class. So I think we really nailed it with this, especially the one I didn't never imagined was this like Iceman slide, which is like become one of the cooler things in the game.
Yeah, I like the
So
slide as well.
yeah, yeah.
All right, I
And
can
Mel did a great job with animations as well.
of course. And art, the
We
slide
had to do some
looks really
extra
good.
work to get this orb to look cool and to work. So the team pulled a lot of extra time to get that to look cool. So
Yep.
yeah,
There's a lot of technical intricacies with having because the orb is supposed to be, he has a magical orb in his hand. That's kind of the essence of the weapon, and then he has the casing that's on his back, and to get them to work together and sync up, this was a bigger engineering endeavor than meets the eye, I guess. It was a challenge, yeah. Oh, we also
oh,
have
you can
a
see the other new feature that I just showed up on your screen. We now have chat. So we
we.
have chat for in the social hub and then also now in your party.
Hmm.
And in the future, we will have chat as well for the adventure screen
Yep.
when you're queuing. We just weren't able to get that just yet.
Yeah,
So when are we gonna have emojis? We need emojis now.
we have
Wait,
we
actually,
have
can you do emojis? I don't know. I've never tried.
yeah, we have these guys, I
Probably.
guess. Just like normal emotes. Emojis are next. Yep.
Okay, you could you get ghetto emojis for now.
just question marks. I don't have the god tier. Listen, this is the internal playtest build, okay? No one has god tier here. There is a god tier emote for the wizard. I'm not sure if it's gonna make it for the patch on the day of the launch. I'll say like 90% of the
It's
emote
a
is
very
done.
cool emote.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's not done. Let's wait to show it later. It's a
Yeah, yeah,
fun
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's one of my favorite, probably my favorite emote. It has very good BM potential, extremely strong BM potential. All right, you want to go back to the slide and I'll share some. Or what, do you want to fight?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's not very fair. I just kill you really fast now.
Yeah, there's a few other little things we could announce.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. And then we could do our favorite part is answering questions. And I see a lot of hands raised.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. All right. I'll reshare my screen. Or am I sharing my screen still?
You are not. I
No.
think I need to close mine so you can share yours. Yeah. There you
Oh, okay. I was like, oh crap, I was sharing my screen the whole time. All right.
go.
All right, let me know if you see this.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, so we are also going to have some other balance changes for the other classes as well in the patch. The full patch notes will be released a bit later. One of the highlights, I mean, obviously we're going to have the Frost Orb that will go live in that patch. We have some other wizard tuning that we have done on the Fire Staff. Maybe you can go over a few of those, Andrei?
Sure. You want me to spoil a bunch of them now? I actually have the patch. I can, yeah, I can. I have the patch notes open because I thought you might want me to. All right, so Fireball. We increased the speed of the projectile by about 15 to 20%. The damage is increased by about 10%. The dragon spread, actually not the dragons. No, that one got right. I'm not saying anything about that. That one got reverted. we made the dragon's breath, the one that like dazes people, a lot faster. Comes out a lot faster. We tried also giving the wizard unstoppable for a couple of frames, like when it comes out, but it was way too strong. It was way too oppressive, so it just comes out faster now, instead. Um, the evade attack got fire affliction added. The conflag rate, the Q ability when the explosion comes out also staggers people. As it didn't used to stagger, now it also staggers. Stagger also means it interrupts people. Overload now has iframes. The overload teleports. So when you press overload and you start teleporting around, it used to not have iframes. It was just for mobility, but it read too much like an actual just evade, and it technically was. So now it has proper iframes. Also drops projectile like every other evade. And we made a bunch of changes to how charged power works and how you get it. You no longer get charged power by killing boxes or shooting your own time warp little sparkly thing, but you do get a lot more charged power, and you do get charged power from blocking targets that are blocking. And it's easier to get charged power in combat, but not by like hitting doors and crates and stuff like that, because that was kind of degen game.
I thought we did. I thought we did keep the crates one. But okay,
No.
good look.
I mean, we could bring it back. It was making wizards kind of look for crates instead of look for enemies a little bit, sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That I'm kind of okay with. Like the warrior gains rage too when it destroys crates. It makes the crates have a use. So anyway, we'll talk about that one. I need to clarify that one with Troy because we talked a little bit about it. Okay. So yeah, that's some details on the wizard frost or fire weapon as well that we did some updates to. And then one big thing that I'm excited about is the Hunter Sentinel call. So it's the bird pet that summons. We rebuilt it in a different way now. So instead of it summoning and going in a line and finding the first target, instead it has targeting similar to say like the scepter normal or the like what's another example of that targeting, like bow dance or something like that. So it kind of like has a target at 6 on that target, and then so it's a lot easier to use and it's a lot more reliable, so much so that we had internal thoughts of like this might be too good. So it might be the bird pet meta, I don't know, we'll see. But it is fun and very different kind of play style than the other two options, which of course is like Sentinel Strike that goes in the line and pierces through collision, and then the Cyclone, which you could also use for like mobility. So it's great that she has now all three options that are interesting and viable for different things. It's actually a really good counter to the wizard, to be honest, that bird pet that we found. So take that what you will. So curious to see what the community does with that one. Anyway, there's a number of different other class changes in there that we will share a bit later. But another big thing that I'm excited about too is that, and I forgot to show this off in the demo, but when you hover over items in the world, like whether you drop items to like look at what they are, or gathering items on shelves and stuff like that, when you hover over them, it doesn't just say the interaction key like E is the default. It also now says the tooltip and the quality of the items. So it'd be like blue, like a blue what's a good example, I guess, like King's Mint or something, right? So, or Ogrefat, yes. Ogrefat. So this is super helpful, especially for new players of like, what is this item? Do I care about looting it? Something we do want to improve over time with that feature is telling you what the dimensions of the item are, like if it's a 2x2 or something like that. So that's something we'll look into in the future. As you also saw that we just added text chat to the game. That's a big feature as well. So you could do this either in your party chat, like if you queue randoms with and mixed and squads, you could chat with your party there if you're shy or don't want to talk in your mic or something like that. And then also you could chat in text chat in the social hub. So we'll see how that goes. Like Sung said, no toxicity, please. And then another one that Troy is especially excited about is seeing Affliction build up in the damage numbers. So as you saw, like someone said, what does 33% mean? So
Mm.
different weapon abilities or weapon normals and other abilities in the game do affliction buildup, and this is something we have to get better at telling what the players how it works. This is just the next step, is to tell you what the affliction buildup, what is happening with your abilities. And so, for example, when you get 100% of frost affliction buildup, they get frostbite, so they get rooted and they take some damage. And I think they become vulnerable to frost for
Mm-hmm.
like a minute or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously poison, you get periodic poison damage, you get healing reduction. Is that right? Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, there's all these various afflictions, and so now you could see that in the damage numbers, and so as you're fighting, you can get a gauge of how long it will take to afflict somebody. So yeah. So anyways, that is the details on the patch, and then the patch will go live tomorrow, and the server at around 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific, and it will take around 2 hours for the server to be down. So yeah, tomorrow, and we're also going to be doing Twitch drops as well, um, starting June 27th through July 11th. Uh,
Yep. Yep.
and some new updates we added to this too is we had, I think, a gambling goblin ticket, so you could buy a box with an
Mm-hmm.
epic, I think, an epic item. Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of experiments we're doing with the Twitch drops in the future. We will probably also experiment doing some limited time cosmetics as well. That was something we wanted to do this time around, but didn't have quite enough time. But for season 2, it's something we will definitely be doing. So keep a watch out for that. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do patch notes will be published right as the servers go down. So keep an eye out for that. And the Twitch drops. So yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else that someone wanted us to mention?
I mean, I think I'm sure we're missing a lot of stuff. Well,
Yeah.
just wait for the patch notes tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll see the full
Yeah.
changes. I'm gonna share some. I'm gonna share some more gameplay if you're that's okay while you answer some questions. I'll do some
Yep.
Greenwood wizarding, and you get to see the. I forgot to mention because we've seen it for a while now, but yeah, the percentage on affliction, that's a big quality of life. Like Chris said, the way it's displayed is not necessarily how it's gonna, in its final stage, but it's very good information to have, especially with the wizard and how you want to kind of time when you get the frostbite affliction, because it gets your root, and the root gets you guaranteed crit, and the guaranteed crit gets you a ley line, and it just keeps going like that. So I think we're
Yep.
ready for the Q&A. I'm queued here for Greenwood solo, but I am playing on an internal build. I was gonna say it might take a while, but never mind. Looks like I'm in. So I will just run around, and if you guys want me to show anything, just let me know. But I'll start inviting people for Q&A.
Oh, you went into Greenwood. Cool. So maybe you could show off the tooltip
Yeah.
thing if it's working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How's it going?
So my question is, recently I've been doing a lot of trios, and mainly been playing warrior. My problem, or whether question, is are you guys going to be working on like visual clarity for enemy spells and teammate spells? I find it extremely difficult to know, like, because I can dodge priest stuns, but
Mhm.
when there's 2 or 3 priests in a team fight, I have no idea whose stuns are whose, and I'm getting stunned constantly. And I'm like, especially I'm like, if I'm meleeing somebody and my priest is stunning somebody, it's going to be on top of me. Their priest is also going to stun on top of me. So it's kind of hard to know what to dodge when you don't know if it's friendly or enemy.
No, I think that's really fair. This question's been brought up too before in the Meet the Devs. We are going to do different VFX alternates for friendly and hostile at some point in time. The only reason why we haven't done that is just we just haven't had the time to do it. And then we're also working on, we're trying our best at trying to nail the designs first try or during this early access period. But we may change some spells, redesign them, cut some, add new ones. And so we kind of want to wait till this settles a bit before we start creating alternates of everything. So I know it's kind of painful right now to have to deal with alternates kind of for the visual clarity like you're talking about. But it is the plan to do that. I don't quite know exactly when we will do it though. But yeah.
Okay, awesome. It's just good to know that like that's I feel like that's an issue, and it's really hard for me to not
Yeah.
get stunned, especially because dying in
Uh,
one stun is really sad.
exactly.
Mhm.
I think maybe we could probably do it for the stuns in particular, like Heaven's Fury. We could probably do that
That's
sooner
the
than
big one.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the one that I've always been like, okay, I thought that was my allies. I guess not.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
question. That's a
yeah. One
good
thing we want
question.
to do too is have different sound volumes and sounds should sound a little bit differently too. Like they could be louder if they're enemy and softer if they're allies as well. So that's another piece of it too that we want to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question though.
Hold on. Okay. Never mind. I was gonna pull the whole castle, but I can't because I need to drag someone else. Okay. If I'm taking any damage, it's only because I'm multitasking. Okay. Wizard should not be taking any
Yeah.
damage. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yo, how's it going?
Hey, so I have a question about friendly fire, not like your self damage. Back in season 0, when you're a priest and you point blank someone with a star, you took pretty much full damage. Same with the hunter seedling bombs. Is there any chance that that's gonna be like reverted or tuned to the point where it's like currently, when you point blank yourself with your spells, it does like what, like 5% of like the total damage, and
It's
while your
10%.
opponent takes
It's very
full.
low. Yeah, it's 10%. It's very low.
So hunters
Yeah.
sitting on their stealing bombs, point blanking with the stars, splashing yourself with instant
Mhm.
cast as a fire mage. It just
Mhm.
seems like you don't get punished for playing bad.
Yeah, we're tuning around, we're playing with the numbers with that, At one point it was really, really high and we
Yep.
got feedback that it was frustrating and then we tuned it down and then yeah, so anyway, I understand the feedback you have. I think we could it's also a little bit of a band-aid in a design way too. It's not the best like design of like, oh, I just take backlash damage. Like, how are you supposed to know that? I don't know. It's anyway, I hear you on the concern with it, and we will continue to kind of adjust it. I understand with your feedback. Basically, you're just kind of saying that it's too inconsequential. The backlash damage. You think it should be higher.
Yeah, and also to piggyback on what Pretty Boy Graham said earlier about the Shadow Priest. I mean, I know this game's still in early access, so possibly when you get to maybe further to the full release, where there's like maybe a prestige system or microtransactions for cosmetics, since you guys have thought about it with the founder pack. I mean, having a Shadow Priest with your that would be awesome because
Yes. Preach.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. Yeah. It's something we're talking about and thinking about. One option too, I like the idea of is just like could be its own class as well, and then it gives there's a pro to the priest having a very specific kind of kit, and then like another class having a kit, and then it just gives you more options out for other classes. So that's another thing that we're also considering. So nothing to really announce on it just yet, but yeah, I think the game is missing that kind of like shadow caster
Well, I mean, I'm
role,
assuming you
right?
guys are gonna go get a warlock eventually. I was just talking about this making your spells instead of having holy light is shadowy light. Just simple, something
Mhm.
simple. But thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Well, thanks for your suggestion. Yeah, we'll consider that. Yeah, thanks for the question.
Maybe we have a Shadow Paladin. How about that?
Shadow, yeah.
Shadow Paladin, yeah. I think we got another person in here. I almost died trying to fight like 10 skeletons.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
And don't you have epic armor? Yeah. What
I have
up?
blues.
How's it going?
Hey, long
Sorry,
time
not
player,
finishing.
first time caller.
Great to meet
Just two
you.
questions. Just two quality of life questions. Are we ever going to get a mini map so we don't have to stop and open up the main map?
There's nothing to share just yet. We considered that in the very beginning of the project. We did kind of not do that because of just we didn't think it was like 100% necessary and kind kind of a constraint. And also, the more things you add to the HUD, to the UI, the more clutter and kind of begins to feel less immersive. So that's a consideration too. So I'm not saying no, but it's something we'll consider. But yeah, very curious to hear what the community thinks on that too, if it makes sense.
Looks like everyone says no to the minimap. Okay. Second question is
Yeah, that's
oh, memorize the map. Okay. The second question is, are you going to ever add a sort button to our stash inventory and whatnot?
Yeah, this is this is something we're talking about and specking out. We have to design kind of what the sort button does. There's a lot of questions about of like, does it sort by size? Does it sort by, category? Does do all these things, etc. It's customizable. So there's a lot of designs that we're going through right now with the sort button and feature. So it's something we're constantly talking about. So nothing to announce just yet. But something we're talking about. One thing is though, because our game has a lot of similarities to Tarkov in terms of and other MMOs and things like that, of like RPG mechanics and managing a lot of items in your inventory and stuff like that. I noticed when they did create the sort button in Tarkov, people were like, "Oh, it's awesome," but then it's only really awesome for the first couple weeks of this wipe, and then after that you actually kind of want to like organize your items, and if you press sort, it will have its own mind of how it wants to sort them, right? And so there might be a better solution, instead of just like hitting a sort button, instead of like a way to organize how you want your stash to be, and then it all like goes to those containers, and you know what I mean. So anyway, there's maybe a better suite of features that could solve some of these issues that players have, because yeah, but I agree, like the game needs something for these sort of things.
Appreciate it. You guys are doing an amazing job. Don't let this game die.
All right, we'll do our best. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Chris, can you drag someone, because I'm gonna die.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks for the question. How do
I got it.
Okay.
You got it?
I got it. Yeah, I got it. All right. Let's bring up Kevon.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, how's it going?
Too bad. Kind of three-putter, all wizard related.
Okay.
One, energy.
Right.
We're really starved with energy. Dagger
Okay.
rogues kind of require poison antidotes. Kind of more meet the devs the last time I mentioned the utility pot slot. A lot of that just comes down to energy costs across the board of utility spells like your Arclight Explosion or Grabwell there. Is it possible that we can possibly either get more energy regeneration or just lower cost on utility and base spells? Because I would like, with how inconsistent it is to hit Arclight Explosion, for example, it would be nice if it didn't cost like a fourth or a fifth of our mana. The second part is the no block on ice on the Frost Orb there. It feels a bit awkward, especially when every other class is revolved around block or has a block, and especially when fire has a block as well. So I was kind of curious on you guys' input on why you decided to not have a block on that. And the third part was bee hopping. What you plan on doing with bee hopping in the future. Because I imagine Fire Staff is what Longbow should be like, where you're glued to the ground. There's consequence to actually charging up an attack rather than just infinite mobility. But at the same time, I feel like the game would feel kind of clunky. I'm personally a bee hop enthusiast, but anyways, first question was energy starved, second question block, third one bee hopping. Sorry for the ask question.
Yeah, no, I was writing them down. Yeah, the energy costs. So the part of the, and look, like a lot of the designs, like I'm saying, a lot of designs, the classes, there are assumptions and all these sort of things. we're testing them out during early access to see how they land. It's great if like our first draft here is what we land on and is amazing, and that's great. But it may also we may change some things and move some things from one weapon type to another. I mean, before we released early access, we changed a lot of the gameplay of the classes and weapons and stuff a bunch based on assumptions and how they played out. So, what I would say is if things if things don't feel right or that sort of thing, it's normal, and we potentially could change them. So based on everyone's feedback and how we're feeling about it. But one of the ideas with the energy cost with the wizard in general was the idea is that he has a larger wizard or energy pool, right? I think there's even a trait that increases it a significant amount. But then his costs are a little bit higher, and so he has more pool to work with. But then once he's exhausted it, he's kind of vulnerable, right? Because basically he has to use his energy for a lot of his most powerful spells. It's kind of the idea. Like they're all used for all the spell scrolls and then that sort of thing. So that's kind of the intent. Part of it as well is just that some of the abilities like arc-like explosion, etc., they don't have cooldown, so they only have energy costs, and so we have to kind of tune them so that that's balanced, right? We may just throw in a towel and say, okay, just it could have a lower cost but then a cooldown, but something would have to give if we tuned it, or maybe its damage goes down. So those are the three knobs we have. It's like the damage, the cooldown, and then the cost. And it can't be like low cost, no cooldown, high damage, because then we have a problem, right? Because then like why would you ever use anything else? Anyway, I'm just kind of explaining the when you're giving that feedback how I think about it, or how we think about it internally. But I do think it's fair. Some of the wizard abilities have really high energy costs, so you're not really getting the vibe of, well, I have more energy, I have more abilities I work with, design intent. And part of that is because we had to reactionary like increase the cost so that it's balanced. So anyway, the answer is I hear your feedback, and it's something we'll look at. It's something work in progress, but that's some of the considerations and designs that we think through when tuning these things. So that's the energy cost. Next one's block. It's funny because in some ways you would think, well, the ice weapon should have block because it makes sense. Like your ice is thick and like that sort of thing, and ice block from WoW or whatever. But we kind of had a block designed for the fire weapon from the beginning, and the idea was like you take backlash damage if you're hitting his block and stuff like that. And it's more of a turret gameplay where he's hurling fireballs at you, and if you switch to him, he can block and defend himself. Whereas Frost is more about control and finesse, and kind of turning up the dial of that glass cannon gameplay that the wizard has signature to him. So that's the current idea. But maybe during testing we'll change our mind and say, well, maybe Frost should have the block, and then Fire has something else. We'll see. But the Q kind of is like a pseudo block. Originally, when we designed it, what it did was something similar to what the priest's Spirit Shell was, which you get a few block pips just passively, or when you press Q, you get through a couple block pips, and you just run around with some block on you, and you can do damage while blocking. But then in our testing, that was just like too powerful. And the original goal with the Q with the Frost Orb is if you are fighting against melee, the Frost Orb is in general pretty good against melee. Like the warrior and rogue that I find, and so it was kind of to address like when you're in melee and you're like using the Nova and stuff. If a warrior is on you, you have an option, like a defensive option, which is the Q, which is it just increases your armor. So in our testing, it felt balanced with this gameplay. It feels a little strong, but it doesn't feel like you're totally destroying melee with it. So that's the history of that ability. But yeah, curious to hear the feedback from the team or from the well, yeah, from the team, but also from the players on how we feel about how we executed on that. And then the third one is the bunny hopping. There's like a love-hate relationship with it. I think it feels fun for the player, but then it makes game balance and it makes a lot of other things a lot more tricky when the player is bunny hopping around, mainly because and you always want to, you're incentivized to do it because you just want the player to have a harder time aiming at you, right? But then the thing is on the server with the client is like you have to do a really good job of making client prediction feel really good, because otherwise if like the player is jumping in the air and you shot him in the head and it didn't register because what you saw replicated on your screen wasn't what the server thought was happening, that coding becomes really delicate. And so generally we sway away from bunny hopping. So that's why like in some of the newer designs with the wizard, we shied away from encouraging that gameplay. But so it's something we're playing around with. We will see. I have nothing to share right now whether we'll remove that from the hunter or not. But that's kind of the thinking background on that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It tracks. The energy starved question, I would just like to press my 1 and 2 abilities in a fight. At the moment, there's just very little value. Well, I shouldn't say that. To combo somebody, it's Time Warp, Return, Arclight Explosion, Frost Cyclone, Pyroblast. That's 80% of your mana in one go. Chances are, if they hold right click, all of that mana's gone. You can't do anything. A large chunk of that's just the base kit spells. And the base kit spells outside of a combo is costing about 40% of your mana, and you're not going to hit them ever without landing that Frost Cyclone type thing. So it's very awkward. You hit maybe 1 out of every 10 and spend 20% of your mana doing so. And anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could talk all day about some of these things, but one other assumption I had too when we were designing the spell scrolls was that they're going to be pretty kind of rare and precious because a lot of them weren't crafted. You had to like find them in the world. But in my experience, they were more common than we anticipated, which is fine. But it just means that the normal baseline abilities are competing against them, which always the spell scroll ones should feel stronger because they're more limited. They have charges, you have to find them in the world, etc., right? So that point of balance is something we're still working on, and so I think that makes a lot of sense though, why you feel like they're less value than scrolls. And so yeah, anyway, there's a bunch of things we could do with that. We can kind of make those abilities feel more cornerstone important to the gameplay. We could just straight buff them. I don't know. Anyway, it's a fair challenge that we'll talk about for sure as we keep fleshing out the class.
Thank you. Sorry for taking up so much time.
No, those are all really interesting questions. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the question, Kevon. All right, let's see here. All right, let's invite Schwarms.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo.
Good, man. How are you?
Great.
Good.
Yeah, I love the game. It's great. I got just some really easy questions. The first one is, I'm wondering if it's possible to do key bindings, like for different classes. So like if I'm playing the Ranger, I might have my keybind set up one certain way, and then if I play the Wizard, they're set up a different way, because at least for like WoW or something, for example, people don't necessarily love the same keybind for a similar spell, or sometimes they do, but yeah, like I find that some like the Blink one, for example, on Wizard feels very clunky on Control, whereas on Hunter it doesn't. So I was wondering if it's possible to have a record keybind differently depending on what class I'm playing.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Keybinds is something we spent a lot of time working on in the very beginning of the project. Everybody has a preference for where a key should be and all these things like that, and something we debated endlessly. I'm pretty happy with the binds that we shipped with, but I think it's something we will continue to reevaluate and look at, especially when we start porting the game to console, which is something that we're working on. Yeah, that design that you're talking about, where there's different keybinds per classes, was always part of the roadmap. There's like, what's called UI wireframes, like prototypes of what that looked like. We just didn't have the time yet to do it, but it is on the roadmap of something we definitely want to do. It's kind of interesting because we did anticipate that this would be a feature that players would just like really clamor and ask for, and I realize everybody would appreciate it for sure, but it hasn't been one that I think the players have been asking for as much as I thought they would, which is kind of a good sign because it means like the default keybinds and the mappings that are consistent between the classes are more or less feeling good, which is encouraging. But anyway, TLDR, we will add that feature at some point in time, hopefully before that console release, the 1.0, when we're out of early access.
Cool. Yeah, and then I just had another quick question. I started playing Wizard because I was really excited for the Frozen Orb, which looked great, especially from someone that, like I said, that's coming from playing WoW and whatnot. It looks amazing. You guys did a great job. But when I find with the Wizard is like if I'm trying to cast like Frozen Cyclone or Meteor, I always notice it. You have to like hit your keybind for Meteor and then left click to drop it. But if you don't do it, like there's no cast bar. So if you left click too early, then it just cancels the Meteor.
It's fixed.
And, oh, okay, perfect.
That'll be in the patch notes. We did.
Okay, then that's.
We also did for Heaven's Fury charged cast too, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've been incorporating that into there now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, good question. Thanks for bringing it up. You uncovered a patch note. Yeah.
I'll just ask one last really quick question. Is I don't have this issue, but I see a lot of people having it. Like my friend, they are on ultra wide, and they're having issues where it feels too spread out. Are you guys gonna do any support for that?
Yeah, a number of us on the team play with ultra wide for sure. So we will keep continuing to improve that experience. There's a number of things that don't really work quite right on every aspect ratio. For example, some of the vendor backgrounds don't scale correctly, and we know about that. It's on the list of things that we definitely want to improve.
Cool. All right, that's everything, guys. It looks like a great game, super fun, and the new weapon looks amazing. So I'm super excited to play it.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. All right. The thing he was mentioning, I forgot. Like I said, there's been a lot of quality of life and a lot of changes, and I mentioned there's stuff. I just glanced and I picked up a bunch of random. But yeah, what he was mentioning was before when you pressed, let's say, Meteor Scroll, you had to wait an invisible amount of time before you could confirm, and if you pressed too early, then we just cancel the spell. But now I can just Meteor and spam left click, and it comes out when it's ready. And it's the same for Pyroblast and a bunch of others. So yeah, I forgot about it. It's good. Big fix.
All right, Nerf Frost Wizards.
Oh, already?
Oh yeah. How's it going, guys? I already think the class is already too OP. Go ahead and nerf it. Biggest thing I just wanted to ask. I love the game. Been playing since day one. Love it. But did you guys watch that tournament that we had approximately this weekend?
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts about adding a custom game into? So we have Goldbrooks, and I love it. But what about actually adding in custom arenas? I know the arena had a little bit of problems with it last time we had it with the map, and you can go through the map. You could actually jump off, and there were a lot of bugs with it. But adding a custom game so we could actually run events, is that something in the possible future?
I see. So you create your own lobby basically. I love the idea. It's something that we can consider at some point in time. There is a number of back end kind of work that would have to be done to do that. It is a non-trivial feature, but it would be useful for a lot of reasons, for sure. And so it's something we have talked about, but nothing to announce just yet. But yeah, I like the idea. It's just for the community to create their own kind of arenas. Or one thing that we do want to do is add that as a mode that is just kind of up and that players can queue and coordinate with. So yeah, that would probably be the next step, is just have it as a more supported feature rather than an event thing that we do on the weekends.
Yeah, I think Goldbrook
that sounds amazing.
I was gonna say, I think Goldbrook is kind of another fix. See, I can evade these things and they don't track me anymore during overload. I was gonna say Goldbrook was kind of our like first attempt at something like that, and it's really popular. Even on the Oceanic servers, I saw people host their own tournaments every weekend, and it seems like it's been a success.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably just add more features to it or more maps in the future. I think it's a cool thing to
Yeah,
explore.
one thing we could maybe do in Goldbrook is create more of a little like arena POI in it or something, or like I don't know. We can create like a little space in it to it feels more natural rather than the flat areas or something. We could maybe talk about doing. So okay.
I gotta get out of here. The Bronzebeard's yelling at me. I don't want to get yelled at no more.
All right. Well, appreciate
I
the
appreciate
question.
you guys. Y'all have a great time.
Thanks for the support.
You
All right.
too.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's see. Rocky, man.
How's it going? Appreciate the invite here. So I had two quick questions to ask. So I play a warrior, so my questions come from that perspective. Yeah, class doesn't feel too good right now, but so here's my question. First question is about Unstoppable, like for like Rampage and stuff like that. I remember watching one of the dev talks before where you guys mentioned you changed it so that it only takes like 15 fury per rage per swing to make it like feel better. But the problem is like it's supposed to, from my understanding, because it even says it in the skill description that you're immune to slows and roots, but it doesn't really work that way. You still get slowed, you still get rooted fully through Rampage, especially like if you get hit by a bramble trap or something. You move like 10% of the distance while you're rampaging, and you still blow all of your rage because you're just swinging into midair, and it just doesn't feel good. So I'm wondering, like, is that intended? Are you supposed to still get slowed during Rampage? How does that supposed to actually work? So that's my first question. I'll ask the second one after you guys get through that one.
Yeah, Andrei, do you know the answer to
So
this question better than me? Go ahead. Yeah.
maybe, yeah. So normally this is a thing we've added to like globally to the game where if you have any ability that has root motion, meaning the ability moves you forward, like any melee attack does that. When you swing, it moves you forward a little bit. We had this problem where if someone was slowed, it wasn't affecting root motion. So if you were, let's say, in an area that would slow you, the best way to get out would be to just attack, and you would just, because the attack would move you, you would just attack out of it. Rampage was like the best at that, but you're kind of right that if Rampage says explicitly that you're immune to slows, then it probably should not be affected by this. This sounds like an oversight and kind of like a bug to me, especially since you have to use a bunch of rage for it. So it works as intended, but maybe not for Rampage. So yeah,
okay.
it's,
I use Rampage as an example, but it works for all skills that are unstoppable. It doesn't protect you from slows or roots.
Yeah, all skills that make you unstoppable should probably ignore that rule. But for every other attack, then that's working as intended. Because again, otherwise, you'd have, like, the rogue could queue out of everything, out of every. Well, I guess they can for the most part, out of every slow.
So here's my second question. So it's to do with the whole stamina system. So like I fight people in the social hub all the time. Now it doesn't seem like a problem when you just fight an average player, but when you fight a really good player who knows what they're doing and they know their class, they can manipulate the stamina system so well, such that, because certain classes like rogues, for example, I'm gonna use rogue for example. A rogue can blow through all of their stamina and then teleport across the map with like their shadow clone thing. And you, from the perspective of a warrior, like my whole thing is like I'm trying to like close the gap. I'm trying to burn their stamina so that I can do what I have to do while they're trying to kite me. But I run them out of stamina, and then they're gone. They either go invisible, they teleport like 50 meters away, and then I have to like close the gap again. And by the time I get to them, they have their stamina back already. Like it just doesn't seem like a mechanic they have to interact with. Like running out of stamina just doesn't matter to them. Same thing for like a wizard can do it. He can go invisible. It's completely perfect invisibility. It's not even stealth. Like I have no idea where he is if he does it right. Hunters can like burn all their stam, jump in their tornado, and like fly across the map, and then I have to like close the gap again. Like all these classes have all these things that they can use to just completely like go around the stamina mechanic. Like and it just feels pointless to even try to burn them out of stam because they still have something they can do to just completely get away. And by the time I'm able to get back to them, they have their stam again. So I'm like, how is that supposed to actually work?
Isn't Warrior in a similar boat then with the horns and charge, or leap? Because you could just use rage as a resource for mobility as well.
Yeah, Warrior can do it as well. As a matter of fact, Warrior has like the Bull Rush chest piece around the stamina. I can just hold guard and get all my stamina back. So I'm not taking Warrior out of the equation. I'm just saying is like the mechanic. Yeah, no, I'll tell you straight up. I can do it as a Warrior as well. But the mechanic, I'm wondering, like, is that intended? Like, how is that?
Chris, do you want to answer?
Yeah,
this?
I would just say. Oh, am I muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask if Troy wanted to comment on this, just because it's something that we've talked a lot about. It is something we do talk a lot about. I mean, stamina in general for the game is supposed to be a really important mechanic. Like, once, for the average player, they just have to make sure they don't run out of stamina and not get exhausted. But then as you get more sophisticated with the game, how you spend the stamina and how you trade stamina with like your opponent and is going to be really important. And I wouldn't say the game is completely balanced with us just yet between the classes or any of that in general. One thing with the Warrior though is he can kind of negate stamina through charging, because I think what Andrei was saying is just that every other class, if they want to sprint, they have to use stamina. So the Warrior can do some of that. So that is something that he does have. But you know, the rogue's gameplay in general is kind of to like do a bunch of damage and try to reset the fight and get back and, you know, and recharge and then fight at equal footing again. In theory, like, if that happens, the Warrior should also be regenerating stamina in that moment. But you know, we just have to kind of drill into the mechanics of that exact like duel or the exact like scenario and what's going on there, which we do from time to time on the project. And, you know, during the work week, we're just analyzing how different classes fight each other. Right now, a lot of the priorities is trying to make the game fun and trying to make like really important strengths and weaknesses between classes. But then as we spend more time to get into the minutia of like stamina trading and like what's you know, fair and balanced basically there, that's like kind of that next step that I wouldn't say like we spend, you know, a lot of energy just yet. I mean, we do like in all these patches, but it's going to be a moving target is all I'm saying. But I think your impression and that your experience here is fair, and it's literally something that we do talk about a lot.
Yeah, I think your point about the Warrior still build stamina, at the same time as everybody else. I'd say it's slightly probably different because those classes, while they keep the distance, they can attack us while we can't. So it's like I'm burning stamina to close the gap, but I do no damage in that process. But I'm getting hit the entire time. So that's the only thing I'd say. It's a difference about that. But I appreciate you guys taking my question. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think rogues as well. It's just that with their core kit right now, between Poison Dart and the Dagger, they do a lot of damage from range, that more than what we kind of, I guess, intended. There's going to be part of this mechanic where they kind of like do some damage from you at range and like kite around you and these sort of things like that. And so, but it's still something that's like work in progress. I mentioned this a lot in the last Meet the Devs, or on a couple Meet the Devs before. It's just that we want rogues to also feel like they can fight toe to toe, and that to be like a fair fight rather than just trying to do a bunch of damage and trying to reset all the time. And just basically to reward aggressiveness, I guess, which is kind of like how the Warrior's also designed, is that he gets more rage when he's doing damage, when he's taking damage, that kind of thing. So I know like the rogue is designed actually to be like with adrenaline, is like to pop in, do a bunch of damage, and like escape. So I'm not blaming the players for that one. That is something we intended, but it may be a little too, penny limit is a little too far there. But anyway, it's a lot of it's a lot of just nitty gritty balance stuff. But yeah, I think your experience is fair. All right. Well, thanks for the question.
Thank you for the question.
All right. Let's see.
this guy's tanky.
I invited someone up. Hands up. I don't know if they're there. Is that one? Hands up since day one. Well, I invited you if you're around. Let's see. I'll do some Kovacs. We'll probably do like a couple more and then wind it down since we're at time.
Hey there. Can you guys hear me or am I a little robotic? I'm driving.
You're good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Mine's kind of a little two-part, not too dissimilar from anyone else's, but with the game kind of heavily designed around audio cues, I've noticed that some of the mobs that that patrol, some like the skeletons or the wolves, seem to have a like a path that's like outside of their leash range. So they'll just, instead of padding like back and forth from A to B, they'll hit like their leash range and then just reset. And their reset noise is basically the same noise as popping a health potion. And so if you're kind of in there specifically to PvP and hunt down people, it kind of leaves you chasing ghosts sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if there's any kind of chain, maybe either having them patrol within their leash range to not trigger that reset, or maybe it changing the audio cue in general for it. And then to kind of piggyback on that, same thing with previously open chests. Like if someone's been through the whole area, you can just hear all of the chests opening as you like come into the area.
That's been fixed.
I'm not sure if that's something you guys intended. Okay. Oh, it has? Nice.
That one's fixed, yeah.
Yeah, we fixed both of those things, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I know the I know the health potion thing on the creature leashing was fixed, for sure. And then if you're saying the chest thing is fixed, then yeah,
I
both
know the
those
chest
things
one was fixed for sure.
Okay.
Sweet.
You
Cool,
also
I'm just late
uncovered
to the party.
2 patch notes.
Yeah.
Congrats. All right.
That's
All
all I
right,
have.
we'll
Thanks,
do-
guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we got one question left, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, get in.
Hey, can you guys hear
Hey.
me?
I can, yeah. Hi.
Awesome. Thank you for taking my question. I'll try and be brief because I tend to talk a little too much. But anyways, Chris Kaleiki, I saw your YouTube video about why you retired from Blizzard. And I think your answer, if I remember correctly, was that when WoW Classic came out, it reminded you of how the game had a story-driven economy by the players, aka you liked the fact that there was guilds, there's kind of drama amongst the players, there's like a organic story that was driven through the game. I was wondering, are there any plans to make something like that for this game, aka are there any plans to make guilds?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, it's something I talked about. What you're talking about is I just talked about how I felt like the game, the vibe of the game had shifted over time between WoW Classic and when I had left the studio, which was Shadowlands, a way later expansion. And today, since then, in the last like 4 years, people call this like retail versus classic now. It's like the two philosophies of two types of games. One thing, when I was talking about there was that when I thought about WoW, or if you go to like BlizzCon or talk with your guild and stuff, what people talk about is player stories that happen during the game. Right? It's like, oh, did you remember this one time? I think the example I used, which was there's this event and there's this moment in the game where players are doing this in-game wedding, and then like on the Alliance side, and the Horde showed up and killed everybody and mind controlled the bride and married them to like their own a groom or whatever on their faction. And that was like a story that everybody remembered from that server, and was one that they always reminisced and talked about. And that is like the magic of MMOs in general, or social games, is just like these player stories. But I would say that is a big pillar in Legacy even today. I'm sure everybody in this chat has a few stories of funny things that happen in the session, or in an adventure, with other players, or really close to extracting, and then you get pulled out and you get killed or something like that, right? So this is the magic, I think, of games today, is that players create their own stories, their own experiences that they could share or tell, or that they're unique. It's not just like a very, the game designer tells you to go click here and go there and complete this quest, and then everybody has the very same experience, right? So that was what I was talking about there, which I do think we did execute pretty well in Legacy even today. Your question about like guilds and that sort of thing, guilds and micro communities within the game it's another opportunity to create these interesting stories, or these dynamics between players, and at that point, community of micro communities of players within the game. It is on the roadmap for us to do guilds in the game for sure. It's probably the next biggest, largest feature that we will work on in terms of gameplay systems. So yeah, it is something we want to do, but that was kind of the story behind what I was talking about player stories and creating this environment where those can occur.
That's awesome. I also agree with that sentiment. I think that's one of the magics of playing video games. So
yeah,
thank you. Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Really interesting question, though. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem. Great job, guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll do a bonus question since someone is really insisting. Here, let's see. Where's one? This is your hand raise? Where is it? 1A.
There's a lot of raised hands.
I know. It's like hard for me to find it now.
Who are you looking for? You'll find them. I will go fight Martha. Actually, I can't. I will go fight the ogre. An ogre.
Okay, here we go. All right, well, thanks, Get him. I'm going to move you to the audience.
A third wizard weapon is a secret for now. I see someone asking.
All right, pretty boy, I invited you up. This is your chance. Now's not the time to go AFK. There you go.
Hey, you guys hear me?
I can hear you. What's your question?
Okay, so I have a quick few.
Oh.
One, can we get voice chat in the lobby? Can we talk to our people, friends in the lobby who don't maybe have access to Discord? Second, could there be an option to buy maybe enchants for our weapons at the enchantress, maybe for like 1,000 gold, that would last sort of like a food buff for up to maybe 1 to 2 rounds, maybe up to 3 rounds. Third question on the guild option. When it comes to battlegrounds, could we get the option to maybe go guild versus guild? And the last question is, I know y'all coming out with a new map for like the barbarian area. If that comes out, can we turn the first map that came out, Greenwood Day, into like a straight PvE map, to where the other 3 maps would be more PvP? And that's all my questions.
Yeah, I have a question on your second question about the enchant. What do you imagine the enchant would do? Like, what are you looking for?
Okay, so for example, warrior can maybe buy a fire enchant. That way, every time he hits somebody, he had the chance to proc maybe extra 25 to 50 damage. Rogue would maybe have the option by like a shock enchant. So every time he backstab or crit, he had the chance to stun somebody for up to 2 or 3 seconds. Hunter, if he wanted the option to buy like a frost enchant for his bows, if he shot a wizard, it would like interrupt him if he's using a fire spell. Priest.
No. Yeah, I get you. Okay, got it. So like these like enchants like affect their ability and gameplay and stuff.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Nothing against the idea. It's something we'll consider for sure as we flesh out the game. Not one idea for the wizard. I mean, the wizard is, I feel pretty good about the wizard now. He has a lot of fun things, but there was like a design where the wizard could ignite the warrior's weapon on fire and stuff. We do want to flush out the wizard so that he has like cross-class gameplay with enhancing other classes and that sort of thing. So that is something we did talk about there too. So that's another option. Maybe it's not like something in the lobby that you pay for. Maybe it's classes could do this, right? So anyway, I'm not against weapon enchants. It's such a cool idea. The voice chat in the lobby, that is something we would like to do. It's just time that we need to do it. Same thing with chat. Chat won't work in the lobby just yet. In the future, we are going to do that for this next patch. We'll work in the social hub. It'll work in parties, but not in the adventure screen yet. But we want to add voice chat and then also the text chat there.
Okay.
The guild versus guild, I love the idea for sure. There's some challenges of doing any guild versus guild thing. Is just like, how do you organize this? Like, for example, if you ever played Albion online, they probably have the most sophisticated systems there for this sort of thing, where you have to like schedule a match and people have times that they vote between if they can make and stuff. Because there's a lot of logistical issues if you're gonna challenge the guild directly. There's an option of like, well, you can queue a battleground, but you can only queue with your guild, right? Which, funnily enough, that was my whole pitch before we did Rated Battlegrounds at Blizzard. But the problem with that is that it becomes very restrictive of like, well, what if I have a friend who's in another guild and I can't queue with that? There's all these other little things you have to iron out there, but it is a fun idea thematically of like guilds versus guilds and having a tournament versus guilds. So I'm really open to the idea.
Yeah, because a lot of games have like arenas already and battleground modes and whatnot, but they don't have like a clan versus clan or guild versus guild option. And last thing I'd like to add to that real quick, you mentioned a few back in the Meet the Devs a few times. We will get a extraction point in Morthog layer. Is that coming soon or?
Oh, yeah, we do. I'll write that one. I'll just answer that one, I guess. It is something that we did talk about. We do want to update Morthog's room in general, and also just do like more boss encounters with better map gameplay and stuff like that. So nothing to announce yet, but it was something we were talking about doing. Yeah. This season, I haven't really seen the meta of like camping Morthog as much. So for me, but that was the reason why we were considering it at the time. Now that it's in the night map and it's a little bit different, it has a weekly timer, etc. So it may have kind of solved that problem for us. But anyway, that's
Did you answer the question about the PvE map and PvP maps? Because again, I don't want this game to die. Like no one does, it seems like, but a lot of people just don't have the option to really PvE to get to that point where they're comfortable to come into PvP. And the more maps you introduce that have that PvE, PvP in the same map is kind of, setting the player base off, I guess.
Yeah. At some point in time after we're done, after we get close to the next season, we'll talk about what's happening in that season. But, one of the big things is we're working on this farm map. You queue into Goldbrook right now, right? The social hub. This is a part of the actual larger map that will be Goldbrook, that'll have creatures in it and different other gameplay experiences that we're working on. And the idea with this map is it's going to be predominantly PvE. There will be some PvP part of it, and we're kind of working out what percentage it will be. Right now, it's like a kind of a smaller piece of it, just because, like you're saying, we kind of want to have a large part of the zone be PvE only, and just to onboard players so they feel more comfortable. They're learning how to play the game. They're learning how to fight creatures. It is a complicated game, I think. So that is probably the biggest flagship feature that will be in the next season is going to be the entry level map, which is the farm map, that will be mostly PvE. And so we're gonna try that and see like how that ratio of PvP versus PvE in there works, So that is planned. So
all right, well, Chris, that's my questions. Thank you so much. Andre, thank you as well, and I'll be in the next Meet the Devs, man. Keep it up.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
So
Thanks for the support.
Yeah.
All right, Andre, we got through it.
We did it. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
I also died in game because gravity. But yeah, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy the Frost Orb. Again, comes tomorrow between 3 and 5 p.m. Pacific. That's when the servers are gonna like shut down and we're gonna update everything. So it's gonna take about 2 hours, or maybe less, maybe, yeah, probably not more. But I hope you guys enjoy it. Give us your feedback once you get to play with it, or even now, why not? And yeah, we'll have the full patch notes tomorrow. I think tomorrow when the servers go down is when we're gonna post all the patch notes. Right now we're actually compiling everything. We have, you know, there's a lot of changes from a lot of different departments, and we're trying to like make sure we add everything. But yeah, thanks a lot for the questions. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, see you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.